Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a review on Snowflower and the Secret Fan by Lisa See. And this is my all-time favorite book, and I'm so excited to do a review on it. So Snowflower and the Secret Fan is, it's just kind of every genre. You can't really put it into a specific genre. It's historical fiction because it takes place in China in the 1850s, and I don't really know what dynasty that was or whatever, but it was during the time of foot binding, and I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically when a girl crippled her foot to make herself more attractive to a man, which is like the height of sexism in history. But it was just kind of what they did during that time period. And she and Lily, the main character, it starts out when she is 4 years old, which is typically the age that you start foot binding. And foot binding plays a really big role in this, and I didn't know anything about foot binding until I read this book. But now, now I kind of feel like I lived it because Lisa See really brings it to life. I also feel like there is the theme of friendship and coming of age because the story stretches from when she's 4 years old till she's an 80-year-old woman. Snowflower is her best friend, and it's called a Laotong. I think I did not just that was an awful pronunciation. I am sorry, but I don't know how it's pronounced. And it's hard to explain. It's a bond, it's a sisterhood that was made for the two girls just from the time they were 4 years old, and it's supposed to be a lifelong sisterhood and friend, which is exactly what it turns out to be. And Snowflower is a really interesting character because she comes from a really, really rich family, or so we think. Well, she does. She does. And Lily comes from a really average family. So this sisterhood is made for the two girls, and Lily doesn't really know much about Snowflower other than the fact that she likes being around her, and so she doesn't really question Snowflower's home life. And it takes a long time. It takes like 15 years for her to realize that Snowflower is she's not just a happy little girl. There's other things going on in her life. So, it's a good novel. You learn a lot of things, and it's not like it stuffs the knowledge down your throat or anything. You learn it without realizing it, which is what I like. And basically, how do I say this? It's a good novel, but this is the only book that I've ever cried in. And oh my goodness, I cried. Oh my gosh, it rips your heart out, but it's so good, and it's just kind of a slice of life. And I cannot promote this book enough. I'm sorry, I sound like I'm a promoter, but seriously, love it. It's sort of it looks like it's a little book, but the script is super super tiny. Um and you really get her life story in there, and a lot happens. Like, that's why it's really hard to kind of give a brief summary of it. It's her life, and it's categorized into sections, when she's a little girl, and then when she's kind of like a older, she's like 7 to 12 or 13 when she's going through foot binding, and then when she's getting married, and there's the whole like courtship process, and that's also really interesting too, the whole marriage process that she goes through. Sorry. And then the days when she's just been married and how she really needs to have a son to kind of secure her place in the household. And a lot happens during that time, especially with Snowflower and with her husband. Her husband's kind of an interesting character because he represents, there's so many men in Lily's life that she just can't look up to and she can't trust, but her husband is really the man that a husband should really be. And so it's not very romantic or anything because they had an arranged marriage, but it's interesting that they kind of grew to love each other, which I thought was really cute. And then after her kind of marriage years, there's a little tiny portion of the book. I think it's even called Sitting Quietly, where she's 80 years old, which is super old for a woman of that time period. The book is written her looking back on her life, and so that's kind of in present day, and she gives her kind of closing thoughts on her life. Not that she like dies. Well, I mean, of course she dies, but she doesn't die in the book. And it just kind of gives her closing thoughts and really wraps it up, and it's so sad, but it's so good. And I don't know. This book, I've read it probably 8 times, not even kidding. And it has not gotten old. And books usually get old to me really quickly. But I really like this book. And it's just one of a kind. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And make sure to check out Snowflower and the Secret Fan at your local bookstore. I mean, you can find it anywhere. And make sure to subscribe. Thanks.